Welcome back to the Level 7 broadcast, where, if you didn't not catch the first part of this episode...
Say episode, yeah, because it's like a weekly episode, but different segments.
Segments in each episode. That way you can get them faster instead of having to wait a week.
Yeah, we serve it to you like a lunch lady. We separate it into different little segments on your tray. That way you can kind of like take your time, eat it how you want. You can mix it if you want. Like you can watch a little bit at the same time. Be like, whoa, let's call that suicide.
But this way you don't get your mashed corn with your freaking chocolate pudding.
Yeah, you don't want like a lunch lady accidental burrito.
Exactly. Speaking of accidental burritos, hobbies.
Oh, dude. That's a good point. when you put it that way. It makes me really think.
It's got to be one of the stupidest sentences ever said, but...
Accidental Burrito is a cool band name. Right?
It's a great band name. Accidental Burrito is just like...
We're Accidental Burrito, and this song is called Fuck!
God damn it, I love this band!
This guy's fucking roll! Anyhow.
Okay, but yeah. Band stuff, I feel like that kind of moves into one of your hobbies.
It does. I was in a band for a little bit. Me and some of the homies.
Join the fellas.
Me and the fellas. Me and the boys. You know. Me and the old yahoos, whippersnappers. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, I do plays some music sometime. That's one of so. This episode, we're going to talk about our hobbies. We're gonna talk about like, well, not just our hobbies, but just hobbies in general.
Yeah,
we think about them and like,
kind of like cosplay is a hobby. We talked about that.
Yeah, so we're gonna judge some hobbies that we don't participate in a negative way. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm joking.
Hate those guys. No, I don't.
Those basket weaving pieces of crap.
Those people that just make that bead of glass all day that's indestructible and they just keep testing it.
Oh, what about those people that just take like a pneumatic press and just crush things?
Those sons of bitches.
You dirty bastard.
Stop wasting all them Skittles.
Stop breaking everything. Those are good things.
You broke the thing that you're breaking things with now. What are you doing?
Yeah, they'll just like put a whole can of soup and it's like, that. Eat the soup first. Come on, don't be wasteful. You know,
that does seem like a lot of fun. What would you smash?
Shh, my past.
Oh, that's not what I was expecting.
No, I don't know, man. What would I destroy? Like, I don't know what I would want to see get smushed. I got nothing. I really got nothing. Like I think that I've seen so many of those videos now. Like I've kind of had that.
Yeah,
I've had that part of my brain just fulfilled, like that dopamine center is just like, it just doesn't stop now.
Yeah,
it's like it's broken. I can take no pleasure in that part of my brain anymore. It's just, it's basically been castrated.
I do keep trying to think of stuff, and it's like, oh no, they squished that.
You're like, I've seen that get squished. Yeah. I've seen it melted. I've seen it peed on.
I've seen a hot knife try to cut through it.
Yeah. I've seen a dude try to like chew through it using only
hobbies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just kind of hard at this age to have hobbies.
I feel like there's got to be like classifications of hobbies, right? So there's like sports is a hobby classification. There's music.
Cool.
Is a classification.
Right.
I think there's like creative arts. Right, like making something
right
with people or together, or I mean alone, right? So it's like kind of like the creative type of hobbies.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like, and then there's just the entertainment, just intaking entertainment without any output, right? So there's input hobbies and output hobbies.
So if you're just a casual watcher of movies,
input hobby.
But if you're watching them and trying to learn about them. does that count as output if you're just learning about it?
No, not if you're not doing something with that knowledge. Like if you're writing a book on that and your hobby is to like be a novelist, writing a book about certain kind of movies, then sure. I mean,
That'd be sweet.
I think that's the main difference between a lot of hobbyists is you get the people who like realize that they can add something to that sphere, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like there's more takers than givers, right? There has to be.
Oh man, especially with like TikTok and Facebook and all that stuff now.
It's interesting
Like,
how
what
many
just-
people create now, though.
Yeah,
like,
it's
it's
a
amazing. I love getting on TikTok and just being like, people are so fucking funny.
Dude.
Like, what the hell? Who are these people?
Just funny freaking people that are just making stuff all day.
Yeah, there's just so many people. You want to think that like you're funny, and then you get on the internet and you're like, oh yeah, there's billions of people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of funny people out there, and now they all have ways to be like, look at me, I can make a funny face. And you're just like,
We're just living in an extended party scene where you just get to keep watching people do stuff that you wouldn't normally see.
that's what I'm saying. That dopamine center in my brain has just been kicked into oblivion. It's
Yeah.
like literally, it has no feeling anymore. It's
I
been
got
just
It's been rubbed dry.
it's just completely just demolished. I just only
dead
have
stop.
I only have disgusting analogies for what. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's kind of one of the reasons to talk about hobbies, because
Right.
we need hobbies, right? You gotta.
Well, this is a hobby for us.
Yeah.
It's like we've somehow incorporated it into work because that's the best kind of hobby. The kind of hobby that you can make an excuse to do because you're like, oh, I'm sorry, honey, I got to do my podcast. It's for work.
Right? Like, oh no.
Oh,
I have to edit jokes into a ridiculous video of us talking about things.
True.
So,
Haha, got him.
yeah, I think that is probably one of my hobbies, I'd say, is just like actually watching movies and stuff, but then taking note of different angles or like transitions.
Yeah,
And-
I think again, I mean, we make
Right.
skits.
And that's
Like,
what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing something. You have an output. Like everybody intakes a decent amount, or I would say most people intake more than they output. Right? Like, that's just how it has to be.
Yeah. You can't be writing your own music, making your own art, watching or making your own movies, reading your own books.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't know. We'll see what AI does eventually, but
I kind of have no faith in AI right now.
true.
Because I feel like all the stuff we kept trying to make it do, it was too stupid to even get like a direct telling it what to do.
I haven't had a lot of luck with that whole like Photoshop. Like
No.
they made it look like it was amazing, and I'm like, it's just nonsense. It's not working right.
Yeah.
So same. I feel like they're like, oh man, this chatbot really sounds like my grandma. It's like, well, your grandma's dumb. So
Take that, grandma.
not my grandma. My grandma's super smart, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like other
Mine-
people, there's that guy, you in the back, you, homie, yeah, you mother, your grandma, dumb as a bag of rocks. That's a good
Yeah.
one. That's a good one. Dumb as a bag of rocks.
It was a bag of rocks.
That's a good one. She's as dumb as a single rock. Not even,
Not even a bag to keep it all
not even a whole
incorporated.
bag. Yeah, because the bag has got more energy, protons.
The bag is the organization that keeps the ideas in it.
The hierarchy of the bag is irrelevant. There's one rock. Your grandma's dumber than it.
But I don't know. I feel like that is totally one of my hobbies, because I love watching all sorts of crap, just kind of taking it in and then trying to think about how to use it myself. And then another one, this is definitely one that I only intake with, obviously, because it's all Tom Clancy.
True.
Like, I'm reading a book, I'm listening to a book, I've watched a movie just earlier today, I finished it.
Again, I
Then,
mean, I
like-
think I think it's important to. Here's where I think people lose focus and lose output potential is if you don't have a focused input of hobbies, like doing, and that's what I mean by we were talking before about the analysis paralysis of trying to decide what you want to do when you're bored.
Oh, yeah.
And how like you really overthink that moment. Like if you think, you can probably think back to the last time you were like, I guess I'll go to bed. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Literally last night, I was like, do I go to bed or do I learn to play this new little card game called Orcs?
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's like, well, what I think is important is for us to realize, like, for one, like we can do a million different things, but we really can only focus on so many different things, right? So it's like,
right.
I think if we keep introducing like all this new all the time, which is what the internet does, right? Like here's constantly new thing, meme. This is the new meme. You got a new meme. But it's like, as far as like the physical hobbies that you're taking part in, or maybe not physical, like designing or what, that's still physical, I think.
Yeah.
But it's like something that you're taking part in, specifically you're active in, not just watching or like going to the theater is, I don't think, participating in a hobby. I think that it is a hobby to go see something, but voyeurism, I don't think you get much out of it. Whereas doing something both takes a lot more out of you, but is also more fulfilling and more important. So I think to balance your input with very specific things, like I know that I like this, I know that I'm going to get something out of this. When I'm watching, what, like being selective on what you watch, not just binging every show that they release.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the part that I don't like, is there's so much and everything is so good. I'm like, it's really not though.
Yeah, I can't, like, I haven't watched The Witcher. I haven't watched Game of Thrones. I haven't watched all of Mandalorian. I am getting through parts of it at least.
See, Mandalorian season 1 was good, but season 2 I didn't.
Man. Season 2 sucked.
Season 2 sucks.
Season
and it's the
3's
same
been
with
better.
Castlevania. But I mean, Game of Thrones is a million seasons. So what, 8 seasons long
Yeah.
or something?
I never watched Lost. I literally just had Krista tell me what was happening as she was watching it.
See, but I think now going and watching Game of Thrones is, I don't want to say pointless, but I think it's less culturally relevant now than it was when it came out, obviously,
yeah.
or years after. So now essentially you would be hopping into a universe that a lot of people have just moved on from.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like kind of a waste of time. Like,
Yep.
even though it's good, it's like the part of the fun of hobbies, which I think for most people, part of the fun is
The community stuff.
exactly just being like, oh, did you see that? Like, oh, the red wedding. Everybody saw that water cooler pre-COVID. Everybody's at work and they're like, I hate my life. Oh my God, I want to die all the time. Did you watch that episode? Oh my God, I just want to die. You remember?
I do remember.
Yeah.
Office Space 2004.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
I'm kidding. I have no clue if that's the date.
Yeah.
Now I want to find out.
But so again, I feel that way about Game of Thrones, where I'm like,
1999. Sorry.
Yeah.
I knew I was wrong, but I felt like I was like, oh, I might be close. But Game of Thrones.
I mean, at the time, watching it was more important than it is now. It like was more meaningful to intake that than it is now. And so I feel like, yeah, there's definitely, you just waste your time watching and being like, oh, I can never discuss this with somebody. Nobody cares anymore. Like Game of Thrones is one of those bigger ones that like a lot of people are like, oh my God, House of Stark, oh my God.
Like, I remember that.
White Walker, oh my God.
At least if you're rewatching Game of Thrones, you're not completely wasting your time like I am. I actually just started watching Xena again because it's at, like, I haven't finished it yet.
Sure, but I mean, again, this is just because something's inherently bad or campy or
Right.
whatever doesn't. You're still you are still taking the time to watch something you want to watch. You're
Right.
thinking you're thinking of and selecting things that you want to watch specifically. Whereas I think a vast majority of people are just like, what's on demand? What's the first thing that looks remotely like I could just waste my time watching this?
Yeah.
And that's where I think people stop making, because they're just like, once you get into that mode of I'll watch any piece of garbage that they just feed me, you're gone. You're just a zombie. You're lost.
And not to sound mean to anime fans, but I feel like that happens a lot to anime fans.
I mean, that's
not all of them, obviously, because there are a bunch that do a bunch of like cool cosplay and then, you know, other stuff with it. But man, I swear I saw like a good handful of people in the middle of art school get into anime and then just became useless.
Well, I mean, anime culture is weird because, first of all, it almost like you have to watch the entire series, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like if you talk to another person, they'll be like, did you watch the whole thing or just the first 900 episodes?
And it's always like, I don't know, man. I think I saw like 3 episodes.
And then there's the pissing contest. Oh, you remember the part when Garjura attacked Narjing in there in the forest, and then the Shadow Clan. You remember that specific thing from manga number 74? And I'm like, you guys just Trekkies? What the hell is going on right now? You're all just Trekkies. You're all just watching hundreds of episodes of, you know, just fiction,
awesome
whatever.
stuff.
It's cool stuff. It's animated. But they're all just Trekkies. And they're all just like, you got to know the names and how to pronounce them. And you got to like watch the most amount of anime. Whoever watches the most and retains it all is the winner of anime.
That's the new Trekkie animes.
Animes are the new Trekkies.
Or, I know the word, dang it. Not waifu.
Otakus?
Is it otakus?
Otakus are people like are essentially, it's like people who are overzealous about Japanese culture. Is an otaku. So if I'm like, oh, I'm otaku, I love kawaii and manga,
right.
and I love the culture of Japan that I've never been to or know anything about except for the internet.
Right.
You know,
that's awesome.
Dookie panties and vending machines and stuff.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
You know,
the worn ones.
You know how it is. Then you got dookie panties, bro.
Hell yeah.
Ooh, these ones stink. She had a good breakfast.
The only thing I ever think about when I hear that they actually do that is there's just some sweaty dude like on a treadmill somewhere just
wiping his ass.
Shoves it in a little container. And he's like,
I like to
earning my money today.
I like that. Like that's if if that wasn't a concern, would you get some?
No, because why the hell do you need that?
But I just mean it's like your brain has created a worst case scenario of like some sweaty dude, and you're like, I would never smell a sweaty dude sweat. But that chick, you could guarantee that it's. If you could guarantee it, I want to see the sweat. I want to see the wipe. Like, what are you getting at? I'm just saying. I know. I'm just kidding.
That's all my mind ever goes to, like immediately.
You're just like, I know that it's a sweaty dude. I just know it. I can imagine him.
I do let my imagination run a little wild sometimes.
Like, doesn't even smell like dookie.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's a hobby.
That's a hobby.
That's a real hobby. That and Russian roulette. I'm just kidding.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of that's a crazy thought. I have never thought of anime fans as like, oh God,
Jesus.
I'm sorry, I keep forgetting it actually does that. But anime fans are
the new Trekkies.
They're the new Trekkies.
New Trekkies. Yeah,
That's dope.
They're the most. To be an anime fan is like a Trekkie in that to be the best fan of anime, right? To be part of the group or be the leader of the group. And just like anything, it's all about knowing the most.
Yeah.
And with anime, they're like, okay, you got to know every character. You have to know all of their moves because they all have signature moves.
They all have signature moves.
They all have
That's true.
pets They
They're,
all have pets and familiars like that.
That's what yeah. I was like, there's a fancy word for it. I know it.
They all have like their mom or their one aunt that appears in like one episode who like serves ramen and everybody's like, oh, didn't you just want to fuck her? like,
I totally forgot we were talking about anime. And I was like in like a sitcom or something, like Full House.
No, dude. I don't know.
I mean, there are those cartoons too.
I mean, they exist, but it's just funny because it's like, I don't know. Every anime has its like its fan base too. That everyone's a little different. Where you're like, okay, all right, I see you. So
being that's got to be that's a big old hobby then to be an anime fan, right?
To be a specific, to say that I'm an anime fan, yes. To say that is a claim that requires some sort of like, I think not requires, but to make that claim, I am an anime fan. Like, first of all, it's like I like different animes. I don't watch a ton of animes, but if I were to say that to somebody, I expect them to then like challenge me because that's what nerds do. It's just what we do. We can't help it. So I wouldn't say that. I would never be, people be like, do you watch anime? And my specific answer is, I watch some, mostly older stuff. I watch a lot of Dragon Ball. And if you tell them Dragon Ball, you're a boomer and they just leave you alone. Like they're like,
not even Dragon Ball Z. You just ended at Dragon Ball.
I mean, I say Dragon Ball, but it's like
that
you know
Z.
I watch Z. Like everybody and their mom watched Dragon Ball Z. So
you had to.
You had to.
So it was a law at one point, I'm sure.
Yeah. I think so. I think it still is actually in a couple states.
Oh crap.
Yeah. Not this one. This state's too liberal. Yeah, it's a Yeah,
my kids are not up to date then.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I got to get them up to code. But dang it, I totally had a point and I just lost it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would expect somebody to challenge me in some way. Like, not challenge me, but just be like, so what animes do you watch then?
Like with Kung Fu movies.
Exactly.
That's what, yep.
Because
I was going to say, I know I'm that for something. It's
Yeah.
Kung Fu movies.
Yeah.
Because now I'm just trying to freaking watch all of them that I can.
Right. And some people are actually interested in what you watch,
Yeah.
but a lot of people are just like, cool, did you watch this? Did you watch this? Do you remember this specific moment? And you're just like, oh my God, okay. Because I don't remember anything.
When he kicked that guy over the stair, the stair, like the safety rail, and then he fell into like a shed in the middle of the mall.
Yeah. All I remember is Krillin going,
I was talking about the Protector in that really big stairway fight scene.
Oh, did you watch The Protector?
I watched the fight scene anyway.
It's sick. How it's like one shot the whole way and you're going up the stairs? Yeah.
Yeah, that was sick. But I haven't watched the whole movie yet because I don't have it, and I still got to finish Chocolate.
Chocolate is good too.
I only made it like halfway through. The beginning part is so much more depressing than I was ready to be watching in a Kung Fu movie because I had just finished 36 Chambers of Shaolin, which was like just old school, awesome kick-assery happening everywhere with just the right amount of story, and then it comes in with Chocolate, and I'm like, whew, this is a different mood.
Yeah. Don't worry though. It gets better.
Yeah. It's just on that day that I tried to do it, I was like, nope.
Chocolate.
I just needed more of that sweet 36 chamber of, Shaolin or something.
Gordon Liu, baby.
Damn. Like, I needed to see him bust a freaking pull through a dude like he did in a...
What did you just say?
Bust a pull
Did you just say?
Wow. That was unintentionally probably one of the dirtier things I've said. But now I'm totally going to show you that scene.
Yeah, you have to now get the context. So people are like, is he talking about busting his pole in a dude?
Fantastic.
Yes, sir. That was good. So, okay. So I think personally music is the ultimate hobby. I like to draw. I like to paint things and do stuff and skateboard and read books and everything. But it's like I think about every hobby. That's the one that I think about wanting to do the most, but is also like the most intimidating.
The most time consuming, like dedication.
The funny thing is it's not. Like,
no?
Once you sit down and like play the guitar or the piano for 5 minutes, you're just like, all right, cool. Yeah, and you just kind of feel better.
Nice.
It's just about sitting there and like kind of getting over the anxiety of being like, okay, what am I gonna play? Right? It's almost that every time you sit down at an instrument, but it's like that moment that I'm talking about. Like that moment happens because you sit down and you're like, okay, I have to summon my fingers to play a thing or do a thing. You know what I mean? It's like, what is it that I'm going to do? And so in that moment, it's like, you got to make a decision, then you got to make it happen. So it's like, once you get going, it's nice. But yeah, I think that's why music is one of those things that it's like, I get a lot from it. But again, there's like an anxiety with even just thinking about doing it.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy. I'm not entirely sure I have a hobby like that.
I think drawing could be like that probably if you really think about it, where it's like if you have an idea or something.
That's true. I don't get to draw as often as I should. I really need to do it more often. But
and then like, I mean, when you sit down to do it and you're like, I don't know, you're pretty good. You can, what do I draw? And then you make a decision and you're like, okay, what the fuck? How
do you want it to look?
How does this look? Yeah. You're really good though at just like throwing some down and just being like, psh, 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 psh.
That's true. That is something I guess I do that a lot. Where like if I kind of have an idea, I'll just like kind of sketch it a couple of times.
I mean, like being able to sketch something like quickly is almost, I think, more important than being able to like do a fully produced work every once in a while. Because it's like you can create so much more like usable art fast, whereas like some people it takes them a month to do one piece of work, and it's like pretty good.
Yeah.
Where
I feel like I've definitely done that though, where you do just you spend all this time just like making the coolest thing that you thought possible, and then you step back from it, and this is just every like artist's feelings, I'm sure, but you look back at it and you're like, shit,
this is garbage.
This sucks. This is garbage. I need to do it again, or like try to fix this part or add a thing, take away a thing.
And so, I mean, that's the fulfilling part of it, and I think that's, I don't know, that's always been. The stores have always been, in my mind, an art project. I know that sounds weird because it's just like a retail store. We just buy and sell things. But it's like a painting or like a song, you can go back to it every day and change something about it and either make it better or make it worse. But at the very least, you can implement change and kind of see how it affects everything, the whole chain of everything, how it all stacks. It's interesting. I mean, I would say the store is my hobby. That is my primary hobby.
That makes sense.
And it's kind of weird that is like, that is how I view it. I've always, from the beginning, looked at it like Harvest Moon.
Oh, yeah. Where you got to make the product appear. What do you do with it?
Yeah, like StarCraft or resource management, like Age of Empires. Like I've always kind of played Game Store like an RTS.
Or like Zoo Tycoon 2.
Exactly, like any of those. I mean, I love those games, but
I think it was Black and White is the one that you played the most. Or that you liked the most, at least.
That game is so good.
Yeah.
That game is so good. Because it had a story.
Yeah. Yeah.
It had a story. An actual, meaningful story.
And I loved it.
And I wanted it never mind. Around me.
I was going to say, don't miss out on your pole moment.
I'm blasting poles and dudes. Woo!
Yeah. I think the freaking podcast is probably my biggest hobby.
Okay.
Because, I mean,
you put a lot of time into editing all these videos and...
Yeah, and like learning how to do new things. Changing stuff. Of course, now I say this, I'm probably not going to do a whole lot in this one. Or maybe I will. You don't know.
We'll see. Yeah. I mean, that's the good part is like you now are better at like being able to identify like, all right, here's a good moment to add something that's not going to subtract from this funny thing that's happening. Just because like a joke happened doesn't mean I have to insert like another joke in that moment.
Right.
You get better at that, the timing, the pacing. So
I think so.
It's good stuff. You're doing a good job.
Why, thanks.
I like it.
On that, what the heck is your hobby?
Yeah, what's your hobby?
Following those guidelines.
Yeah, and if you say gaming, you got to be more specific. Like, what?
Come on. Making a game?
Are you? Yeah. Are you making a game? But like,
writing a game.
Are you like a shooter guy? Do you just play Warzone? Do you play Apex Legends? Isn't that what it's called?
Oh yeah.
Like, or if you're a music person, like what instrument? Like we just want to get to know you.
I mean, yeah, if you are just a video game, a good one for that would be like trying to qualify for a team or something. That's definitely that's a time commitment.
We're working on an esports team thing, not like a big douchey like $1 million basket, but just like, hey, we're gonna go play we're gonna play some games, and hopefully we win. It's gonna be a good time.
That sounds dope.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just like in my head, sponsored by Monster.
Get hard. What?
What just happened?
Just got wicked.
And that's our Pokemon intro. Like, wait.
Thanks, kids.
Sweet, but yeah, definitely let us know in the comments. What's your hobby?
Yeah, what's your hobby? Do you do Instagram, makeup videos, or paint your toes? Your toes.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Toes.
Translate books from Old Norse to English.
Sleep with whatever you can find.
Yeah.
Like not sexually, just to around it. Just, hey, look at this box, looks uncomfortable.
Yeah, something unsuspected like a waifu pillow.
Don't touch my waifu pillow.
I know it's off.
Yeah, it is. It's just got a life-size picture of Betty White on it.
That sounds like a comfortable pillow.
Betty Waifu.
Great.
So, yeah, I mean, hobbies are cool. Do them. Be happy. If you're not making something, make something. Make something feels better. Make something feels better.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Make a thing, a drawing, and be like, and then show it to everybody, and everybody be like, that's pretty good. Dope. I like it.
Sweet. And on that note, official sign off.
That's a sign off officially.
Thanks for watching the Level 7 broadcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to get more videos just like this. And be sure to visit us at any Level 7 Games location to find all of your gamer needs, from video games and trading cards to even manga and tasty as hell coffee. For all of those and more, I'll see you there.